This is episode number 47 of the Feed Me, Fuel Me podcast with our special guest, Adee Cazayoux, owner of Working Against Gravity. Welcome to the Feed Me, Fuel Me podcast. My name is Jeff Thornton, alongside my co-host, Michael Anders. Each week, we bring you an inspiring person or message related to our three pillars of success: manifestation, business, fitness, and nutrition. Our intent is to enrich, educate, and empower our audience to take action, control, and accountability for their decisions. Thank you for allowing us to join you on your journey. Now let's get started. We would like to thank our sponsor, XD Fitness. XD is the leading company in Kevlar-based fitness equipment. XD has revolutionized the industry with their fitness equipment, including medicine balls, kettlebells, sandbags, and lifting accessories, such as lifting belts, jump ropes, and wrist wraps, all made of DuPont Kevlar. Go check them out at xdfit.com and join the Kevlar movement.
Hey, what's going on, family? Welcome to episode 47 of the Feed Me, Fuel Me podcast. Mike and Jeff here with our special guest, Adee Cazayoux, owner, founder, creator of Working Against Gravity. Yeah. What's going on, girl? How are you?
I'm good. I'm excited to be here. I love these things.
Yeah, super pumped to have you. Super pumped to have you. I can't tell you how many people at the gym are excited for this particular episode to drop. We have a handful of members that are in your program right now, working with a couple of your coaches and experiencing tremendous results. So on behalf of them, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I hope I live up to the expectations.
Oh, for sure. You know, you and I met in October of 15 at the Barbell Mastermind with Mike and Doug out in San Diego, and it was a real awesome experience. And at that point, you were experiencing some growth problems as a business owner, and trying to, if memory serves, trying to serve as many of your clients as possible personally and grow simultaneously.
Right, yeah. And then Mike Bledsoe was like, you need to stop coaching now. Just get rid of all your clients.
So, but before we dive into the transition and the evolution of Working Against Gravity to where it's at in 2017, for everybody who listens to the show who's not familiar with who you are and what you do and what Working Against Gravity is, can you just give us the cliff notes on what it's all about?
The cliff notes. So we are a nutrition coaching company. So we help people one-on-one. So you get set up with a coach to find a nutrition program that fits your lifestyle. And our primary objective is client transformation. So that's really anything from mental, emotional, physical, intellectual, could be spiritual for some people. We're looking for any type of transformation. It doesn't have to be losing weight. It could be just changing your lifestyle, just getting some new habits. But we work with anyone with any kind of goal. Our medium just to achieve that transformation is just working on your nutrition. We feel like it's like connected to everything. So that's just what we use.
Right on. And you've had a couple of prominent CrossFit athletes singing your praises. Say what?
I think I have like a bunch of the females, mostly females, for sure.
What? So speaking of the almost exclusivity to females, why do you think that dynamic occurs?
I think in nutrition in general, women are just more open to receiving direction. Like men, they've got it. Like they know. You know, it's the same thing with like getting workout advice. Like a guy is not going to be as open to getting workout advice on like his technique or what he should be doing as a female would. Mm-hmm. Our split in the company is like 35-65. Which I would love to change, but in terms of like the elite level athletes, I should ask Cole. I work with Cole Sager, and I should ask him why that.
Well, I mean, from our perspective, I would say that I think most guys, from speaking strictly from the ego, think they can out-train nutrition. So it's not as high on their priority list as actual training is. Whereas I think, in my experience as a coach and a trainer, women are more open, like you said, to connect the dots and see how nutrition can like exponentially improve performance, where guys are like, well, nutrition will help a little bit.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's easier for a guy that, especially that exercises that much, to not have as much changes in like their physical appearance. Like they have like a higher metabolic effect just from being male. So I think that fact makes it like, oh, I'm ripped. Like, what could nutrition really do for me? Like, people just use nutrition to lose body fat. So if I'm already shredded, like, why do I need to focus on my nutrition?
Then you go compete and you get worn out compared to the person next to you, and you wonder why you didn't podium. I mean, at the elite level, nutrition. At the recreational level, maybe not so much. If you're happy with your physique and you're just in it for the long game, maybe not so much. But most definitely at an elite level, regardless of your sport, CrossFit, marathons, football, whatever, it's a huge difference maker.
Yeah. For sure.
So where did you find your passion for nutrition, and like what was the catalyst for you to proceed with Working Against Gravity?
Oh, two different questions. So the first question, where did like the passion come from? I was 16 years old, and throughout my entire life, I had participated in every single sport like you could literally imagine. I live in Toronto, so I got all the winter sports and all the summer sports. So I was a hockey player, I was a figure skater for a really long time, I did volleyball, basketball, wakeboarding, snowboarding, slalom skiing, like I did all of it. And then I got into this habit of not taking care of my nutrition. And when I was 16 years old, I was like on the fast track to 200 pounds at 5'5.5". And I remember vividly like my mother going to shopping stores with me, begging me to buy a pair of jeans, because like you feel yourself grow in a pair of jeans, like they'll eventually not fit, and I would only wear sweatpants because you can grow like exponentially. So I remember her like crying with me, just being like, I couldn't even play sports anymore. I was a slalom skier, and I couldn't even hold onto the rope to pull myself out of the water. I just didn't have the strength to pull my body weight out. And I got to a point where I just quit sports, and I wasn't doing it anymore because I was just too heavy. I couldn't jump on ice anymore. And she took me to a nutritionist, and the first second I got there, the nutritionist made me get on the scale in front of her. And I was not having it. Like, I did not want her to like see the actual number on the scale. It was like so shameful for me to have that number be there. It was like a brand to me, and it totally motivated me. For me, it was incredibly motivating. Like the one of my favorite books talks about how like shame can only survive with secrecy, silence, and judgment, and it almost like broke the silence for me. And now it was in the open that I needed help, and I could talk about it, and I had this safe support system for it. So it took me 5.5 months. You also keep in mind, I'm an exceptionally disciplined person when it comes to something that I really want. So 5.5 months, I lost 55 pounds. Wow. And I have not looked back ever since. So that was like the trigger of becoming passionate about nutrition.
Okay.
Nice.
And then what sparked the launch of Working Against Gravity? Was there some kind of like career progression? Like you were in the nutrition game, personal training, coaching, something? Or like, so how did Working Against Gravity come to be?
I just sent an email out about this the other day. I had just finished my master's degree in teaching, and I was going to be a teacher. I had every intention of being a kindergarten teacher. That was what I wanted to do. I just wanted to take a year off. All my friends had taken a year off after high school before university, or after university before grad school, and I didn't do that. I just went straight through grad school. And I decided I wanted to take a year off and try and make the Pan American Games as a weightlifter. And where I thought I was going to be able to do that, at the time, Muscle Driver USA was like the best weightlifting team. And I lived in Toronto, and I had spoken to Travis Mash, who told me in passing that I could come and train with him. And he would set me up with a place to live and some cash and stuff. So I sent him like 30 emails, and he like responded to maybe one or two, just being like, yeah, you can come, like never solidifying anything. So I got in my car and I was like, I'm just going to go. Like, what is the worst that could possibly happen? So I packed up all my stuff and I showed up at his gym, and I documented the entire summer. I was there for 4 months. I documented the whole summer on a blog called workingagainstgravity.com. And that, as I was blogging, I was cutting weight classes from the 69 kilo class to the 63 kilo class. And I got significantly stronger at the same time. And people at the time were like, you can't lose weight and get stronger. Like, that's just not possible. So that sparked some interest. And Travis asked me to offer what I was doing to his people on his online programming. And that was it from there.
That's sick. Where's the name Working Against Gravity come into play?
If I could go back, I would change it. It's a mouthful. Like, it is not the easiest thing. So we just say WAG. Like, that's just what it's turned into. But even WAG is like, is it a dog tail? Like, what is that? Yeah, I wanted Defying Gravity because it was a project for school. I needed an e-portfolio for my teaching to apply for teaching jobs. And I just didn't want to do that because I wasn't applying for teaching jobs. So she let me just create whatever website I wanted. And I wanted Defying Gravity because it's my favorite song from a play called Wicked. And I'm a weightlifter, so it's like you're defying gravity, like you're trying to like throw a weight over your head. And that was taken. So I just looked up gravity, and the scientific formula for work against gravity came up. And that was like the cover photo on my original blog. It was the formula.
Nice.
Cool.
Completely random. Some of the best things are completely random like that. That's awesome. So what'd you start? You just started with Travis's camp, right? Mm-hmm. That was your original those are your founding members.
I had like 3 or 4 people before that.
Okay.
And there was like one night where we got 80 people like overnight.
No kidding.
Yeah. And how many people are you servicing worldwide now?
I made a promise to myself that I would never say it out loud ever again.
Really? Yeah. Okay. That many, huh?
I just made a promise. I was like, I got in trouble for it a few times where like people were like, oh my gosh, I'm just like, they were using it as an excuse to say, or not an excuse, they were just saying, hey, I'm just another number to these people because they have so many people, and it's so not true. So I don't even want it to be able to be out there. People to be, you say, I'm just another number to you. It's so not true. So
right on. Completely understandable. Yeah. So let me ask you this: before you made the transition and really exploded your base of coaches, where did you top out at? Where did you feel yourself slipping in your ability to service the people that you were working with personally and the growth of your business at the same time?
For me personally, yeah. I had anywhere from 200 to 230 clients personally when I felt like, whoa, like this is just too much for me. So that's where I was at. Mm-hmm. I'm also, again, a super disciplined person that I didn't have another full-time job. Like this was it. This was all I was doing. So that's what I did every single day, all day.
That's crazy. And when you finally saw that you reached that peak of where, you were exhausted, what made you flip the dials to then go to that mastermind and sort of change gears and say, hey, this has I'm burning myself out. I need to take it to an entirely different level. What was that breaking point for you, and what made you take that decision to go to a mastermind?
That was I think the one we met was the second one I've been at.
Yeah.
So when I went to the first one, Travis Mash was like, you need to come to this thing. And I listened to whatever Travis told me to do. So I was just like, okay. He was my coach at the time. So I was just like, sure, I'll come. It sounds awesome. At that one, the one we were at was at a hotel. Mm-hmm. That one was in a mansion in the middle of the desert, which was like, it was a totally different experience. It was like I think it was 18 people, and it was so much fun. And that was the catalyst for me where I was like, wow, I know nothing about business, like nothing. Like there's so much out there that I don't know, and I thought I was like rocking it, and I was not. Like I was just like the tip of the iceberg. Like I still am just at the tip of the iceberg. So I was just open to feedback, and when I would present the issues that I was experiencing and the things I was feeling, and people that I really trusted and respected told me their advice, I just went with it. Like I just chose a direction. And I mean, worst case scenario, you switch directions, but at least you end up somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
That's a very enlightened point of view, actually, to make such a massive move and put it in the context of, what's the worst that could happen? Because, as you know, through the mastermind experience, we're our own worst enemies. And the number one reason we don't do anything at all is because we're fighting against our own excuses.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I really appreciate asking for help and like actually listening to these people's advice.
Now, outside of the mastermind environment, do you still have mentors who are helping you shape yourself as an entrepreneur? Maybe not necessarily guide the direction of your company, but like just kind of help you hone your focus and maintain whatever it is, whatever your original mission was for working against gravity?
Yeah, for sure. Like in every aspect of my life. When I met Mike Bledsoe, one of the first things he said to me was, last year I spent $100,000 on personal development. And I was like, damn. I was like, what? Like, did you really spend that much money? And he's like, yeah. And he's like, I've gotten a return on that investment 10 times. Like, he was just like, it is worth every single penny. And I kind of like hold on to statements like that. I'm like, man, if he's doing that, like, should I be doing that? So I have a relationship coach, and I have the most amazing relationship in the world. My husband is like the greatest human I've ever met and makes me so much better. And we still have a coach that we talk to twice a month, sometimes once a week, and we work through good things, bad things, anything. I have a business coach who I talk to, and she's my sounding board for a lot of things. And then any of like my counsel, like legal, accounting, they're all people that I consider mentors of mine for sure.
So when you, what's it like being, because your husband's an entrepreneur as well, right? What's it like? Because I've been in relationships with other bodybuilders when I was living that life. What's it, and I know what it's like to be under the same roof in the same kitchen with somebody who's living a very similar / aggressive lifestyle. What's it like having two entrepreneurs under one roof?
Ooh, it depends on the day. We had at the beginning of our relationship, it was a lot harder than it is now. Now we kind of help each other out in each other's things so we can feel like ownership over each other's stuff. There definitely were periods of time where, I'm not competitive when it comes to business. He won the CrossFit Games on a team twice. He's like really competitive in general. So he would be super competitive with me, and we had to deal with, like, we're pretty much doing the same job. And if we would go to a business conference and I'm primarily talking, it would, take away from him, or him talking would take away from me. So instead, we've kind of tried to utilize each other's skills. Like, his skill set is very different than my skill set. I'm very organized, very systematic. Like, I can figure out little loopholes and I can manage a lot of things at the same time. Whereas he's really good, like, one-on-one connecting with people, and he's very good at picking the right people, where I'm a terrible picker. I can attract people, but if I have to go out and pick someone, I usually pick the wrong person. Like detrimental wrong person.
So that's very, it's interesting that you say that, because your staff of WAG coaches are all really amazing. So how do you get over, and I don't use this term in a derogative sense, but how do you get over that character default? How do you overcome your inability to pick the right people and achieve such an awesome staff?
I've never picked any of them. So they all approached us. So we have like people that came to us that like wanted to be a coach or wanted to be on the staff. Like, we just launched a new software, and the guy who created the software pitched it to me. So I'm really good at attracting really good people. But when I'm like, oh, I need a lawyer, and I go and find that lawyer, I never pick the right person, like ever. It's really bad. So I never have. So now I'll just be like, Michael, you need to pick the person. Can you please vet these people and tell me which is the best option? He's really good at that.
Right on.
That's interesting. And how do you go once the coaches approaches you and so you're sort of doing that vetting process? How many coaches do you have now, or do you want to say that at all?
I have 14 coaches.
Okay, so out of the 14 coaches, is that all through word of mouth? How have you been able to attract them, and how do you manage them and make sure they're guiding your business and your methodology in the right direction towards their students?
Yeah, I mean, they're completely autonomous, so it's not the easiest thing in the world. So they all have been through the program. So nobody's on the staff that hasn't actually been a client before and have like transformed their own life. So they kind of know what the program's like, and they know how they would have wanted to be treated if they were a client. Mm-hmm. So they've seen that from the inside. And managing them, I don't really manage them at all. Like, they could totally mess up, but I hear about it. I'm very plugged into the community. That might not be the best thing. Like, it's probably not sustainable for the long term, but I'm very, very plugged in. So we have like a bunch of moderators in the Facebook group that would let us know if something came up there. One thing I think that we do really, really well is we have cultivated this like culture of providing feedback. Like, I want the feedback. Like, I don't care if it's like the most negative thing ever and you're telling me my program sucks. I want you to tell me about it, because that's information that I'm missing. Like, if I had that information, it wouldn't be a problem. Mm-hmm. Like, I would have fixed it. So I want you to give me that feedback so I can fix it and make our program better. So we would hear about it if they were doing anything whack. But I connect with them a lot. Like, I'll send them like a monthly email asking them about how they're doing. I do a lot of Facebook Lives or talking on our coaches call and like letting them know what I've got going on. I'm a very transparent human, other than knowing how many clients we currently have in the program.
I'm going to go ahead and throw myself under the bus, because I am one of the male athletes that we were referencing in the very beginning, because I remember reaching out to you. I don't know if you remember this, about a year ago. And I literally just wanted to know how the program worked and how one becomes a coach. Mm-hmm. And in a one sentence reply, she said, "You got to go through the program." I was like,
it's kind of like CrossFit, like when people are like, what is CrossFit? Like, how do you really describe it? It's not something super easy to describe. It's not, what we do is not like, it's not just macros. Like, it's really not. Mm-hmm. It's so much more than that. So if you've never been through it, it's kind of hard to explain. And it's also hard to trust someone to be a coach with these people when you've never been through it yourself. So for now, that's how we do it.
Oh, for sure. And I think that's the best way to create the most efficacious coaches possible, is to be a product of the system 100%. And I watched what I am so slipping right now on my wife's coach, but
guy or a girl?
Girl from New Zealand.
Oh, from Australia, Melanie.
Melanie, yes.
The only one.
And, yeah. Okay. And, so after our son was born, my wife's been an athlete her whole life. She wanted to get back in the gym almost immediately. And I'm like, oh, pump the brakes. Let's, let your body settle down, whatever. And, my wife is 5'10", right about 160. And, our son was almost 10 pounds. So she's like, I need to get back to where I was almost immediately. And I was like, well, I know this girl that I met at this mastermind, take a look at this thing and see if it works. Because when she was bodybuilding and doing figure, she's already accustomed to weighing all of her meals, and she's super disciplined that way from an organizational standpoint. Whereas that part of it kind of drives me nuts because I've never done that. I've been on stage 4 times and never had to do it. You know what I mean? So I was like, I think that this program would fit your personality and everything that you've already done, kind of just bring you back center almost immediately. So she got in touch with you guys. You had a waiting list at the time. She got on, which is a great problem to have, by the way. She got on with Melanie, and here we are 10 months later, and she's south of where she was at before she got pregnant.
Wow.
Yeah, that's so awesome.
And rocking it in the gym. And, we have, 5 or 6 other testimonials in the gym just like that within the first 90 days of being with you guys. The numbers, the performance, because that's what I track, for our members and athletes is their performance numbers. And when we have girls that couldn't do toes to bar, the gymnastics element of CrossFit is where I see women really derive success when they're able to do that first pull up, and they're starting to do more advanced, like, unassisted, unscaled handstand push-ups, stuff like that. That's when like the light bulb clicks and they're like, oh my God, it's actually working. Adding pounds to the barbell doesn't necessarily, at least for us anyway, have the same effect on our girls that it does for guys. But you get them to start moving their body weight, it's like, oh my God, this is the golden ticket, And so kudos to you for having such a thorough vetting process for your coaches, because Melanie knows exactly what Nicole was going through, and so did the other 13 coaches with anybody else that they're working with. Yeah,
they're awesome. It's all of our success is totally due to them, for sure.
That's awesome.
They're an amazing crew.
Question, like, not comparing the If It Fits in macro to WAG or anything, but for somebody like coming from the bodybuilding background, I followed the If It Fits Your Macro sort of plan. If somebody's starting the new WAG lifestyle, where does it compare to the If It Fits Your Macro in a way, or where does it contrast? Like, for somebody like especially a male, like if I went to jump on WAG and I'm like, I already know how to count my macros, where would you sort of draw that line and say this is where we're completely different?
We're definitely super similar. Like you're tracking your macros. So we're going to tell you how many carbs, fats, and proteins. We might like bend the rules a lot. Like a diet that doesn't bend is going to break. So if you're not going to, what we're an expert at is compliance and consistency. So if there's no compliance and consistency, you're never going to get results in any aspect of your life, not just nutrition. So we will, like, if you're not going to comply with lower fat, we're just going to up your fat and we're going to take calories away from somewhere else. Or, if you need to not track for a week on vacation, we're going to load you up with some strategies or some confidence and support going through that, or whatever it is. But the basis of the actual program is going to be tracking carbs, fats, and protein. So it'll be exactly the same. When you're doing it yourself, I've been doing this for a really long time. I cannot do macros for myself. Like, I'll just wake up one day being like, the scale hasn't gone down. I'm cutting 15 carbs for sure. Like, I just need this to go faster. Having a third unbiased party do that for you is, for anybody, it just like you don't have to stress about it. Like, they're stressing about it. Like, I can assure you, if you check in and you gained 2 pounds, your coach is stressing about it. Like, they are not happy that that's occurred to you. So it's a little bit like relieving to just let somebody else do that for you. And then what we do that's like completely different than I think a lot of people out there is we have a real emphasis on mindfulness and awareness. And I think a lot of the things that people get from the program are just beyond the number on the scale and what you look like in the mirror, but really becoming aware of your food habits. Like, what are your triggers? Like, where are these binges coming from? Like, getting out of that restriction and binging loop of eating, and just learning how to appreciate your body at whatever stage you're at. Like, you're perfect exactly the way that you are right now, and just finding that self-worth. Maybe that's why we appeal to more females. It's harder to get guys to open up that way. But the guys that do open up that way, it's pretty awesome to see.
That's cool, because like I could see the huge benefit that your company has, because initially starting the If It Fits Your Macro stuff, guys get into it, especially with the bodybuilder mindset, like I can eat Pop-Tarts or whatever and roll into it, and that's sort of the information that you're fed. And it's not really, like you said, changing the mindset of the feelings that you have. It's just like, how can I fit this in and get swole or big or whatever, lose weight at the same time while I'm still eating, the Pop-Tarts. I'll just use that as an example. But I really like how you're adding in the mindset portion of it, because that's essentially the key, is if you don't change your mindset to not just the way you're eating, but making it your lifestyle, you've been totally missing the boat, in my opinion.
Right. And we definitely do not, if that's what you mean by if it fits your macros, see, like, everyone has a different definition. So that's what you mean by if it fits your macros. We call it for the love of volume. We appreciate that, like, to satisfy a craving or to stop you from going completely overboard, you should make stuff like that fit. But you're educated on the fact that that is going to create some type of sacrifice. Like, you're going to have to now eat less of something else, or you might be hungry and that's not a fun feeling to feel. And you might, for athletes, like, micronutrients are important as well, for inflammation, for recovery. And so we definitely push a whole food approach.
I like that.
So something I found interesting in everything that you just said is the entire psychological portion and changing people's relationship with food. And that's something that one of our members who we had on the show a couple of weeks ago, she said that both CrossFit and now WAG have done for her. She now understands the psychological components that are the triggers for her adverse eating behavior, and she's now conscious of what those triggers are, and her outlook on what eating is and when and how it's supposed to be enjoyable is completely a 180 of what it used to be based on her experience with you guys. So I love the fact that you have that component to your program, because so much of what I've read out there is just so black and white. We only focus on the food. This is how you're supposed to eat element of the program, where, just as well as I do, it doesn't just apply to fitness, where that's a mentality shift. Nutrition is exactly the same. If you don't change your mind, you can't expect any of those changes to stick long term.
Right? Oh, sure. One of my favorite quotes is, the extent to which you are unconscious of a habit is the extent to which it persists. And that is so true. Like, the second you become conscious of the habits you have, even if you don't try to solve them, you'll naturally be like, when it comes up again, you're like, oh, there it is again. Like, oh shit, and noticing it again before you didn't even notice it. But if you really think about it, nutrition is like the first emotional connection you make ever. So you have like an infant and they're crying. The first thing a mother usually does is like, oh, they're probably hungry. And I give them a bottle. And then now you have this connection between chaos and food. And that's now like a coping mechanism. And a lot of people don't grow out of that. So just to become aware of, like, oh, I can have some and not all. And like, that's cool. That's the dream for me.
That's so profound that you've taken it pre-verbal, to take a word from Mike Bledsoe's vocabulary, and made that connection, and understand that it might just be deeper than a craving for carbs. You know what I mean? It's like my life is fucking crazy. I don't know what's going on. I need to eat, and that's a problem-solving mechanism that that's ingrained in us at a subconscious level because it came to be so early.
Yeah, for sure. It's like, and everyone has it. There's something so comforting about certain foods, like whether it brings up a certain memory or a certain emotion, like mom's apple pie, and it reminds you of like nostalgic times with your family, or and most people, I would say like 95% of people I've met are not looking to get rid of that stuff. Like, you don't want to never have apple pie again. Like, I'm sure everyone listening to this right now could be, you're never going to not have a drink ever again unless you've been an alcoholic and you're sober. You're never going to not have a pizza ever again. Like, you don't want to get rid of that stuff. You just want to know that you're in control and feel confident in how much you can have, and know that it's not taking you away from your goals or throwing your life for a spiral. Like that is like the hardest thing to obtain, for sure. Just to like feel confident. Like, how many times have I sat at a meal looking at pizza, knowing that I'm going to be anxious about it after I eat it, because I'm like, I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have eaten that. But like the confidence of like being like, oh, I can totally eat this and it totally works for me and it's not taking me further away from my goals is the coolest thing of if it fits your macros. Like, I love that you can have pizza and still be ripped.
Right? So understanding that most people at a surface level come through WAG to lose weight, increase performance, whatever the top 3 surface level justifications are for starting a program like WAG. When you get 7 whys deep, whys, W-H-Y, when you get 7 layers deep, what are the top 3 real reasons somebody starts a program like WAG?
Oh man, I don't know.
Have you ever looked into that?
I've never looked into that, but I've had crazy stories of like WAG has saved my marriage, or it's gotten somebody out of like a violent situation, or realized that they need to leave their job, or that they're not happy with their life, or that kind of stuff, for sure. Like that is, I think, why we have such a really, really tight community. You call it, like, what I call them is like raving fans, because it doesn't just help them with their nutrition. It's affecting so many other aspects of their life. So that, if they went 7 whys deep, maybe that's a good question to ask people that have been with us for a long time.
Yeah.
Delve deep on that one, huh?
I mean, I just, I'm in a space right now where I'm, that's what I'm really looking into when, I look at our members that have been with us for a really long time. You're past the point of, I just wanted to lose a couple of pounds, or I wanted to add some weight to my barbell. Like, once you do something for more than, 6 months, a year, you're in it. You know what I mean? And so those are the questions I like to ask our people. Why have you stayed with PHX? What is it that keeps you here? What was it that made it a lifestyle for you? And a lot of that stuff is exactly what you said. They correlate their experience in the gym with some kind of, pseudo life-changing moment that happened outside the gym, and they somehow feel that their experience at PHX or WAG is responsible or the catalyst for those changes.
For sure. That's exactly it.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
That's incredible. And one thing I'm very impressed is with you have an incredible mindset. Just from being able to, grow your company where it is today, and even taking that look in the mirror when you were 16 and looking at the scale and looking at it as a positive. I'm interested, where's your mindset come for that? Is it how you were taught, or things that you've gone through in life, or books that you've read? What helps you develop your mindset to have such an incredible outlook like that?
Well, thank you. I work really hard at it. I think it probably started with my parents. I don't think I always was like this as dialed in as I am now. I spent the past 2 years since I met my husband really, really reading a lot and listening a lot, and not just reading and listening on like a subconscious level, like really just, even if it's like makes me feel so uncomfortable, I'll put these exercises into practice. Like the most uncomfortable exercises, like an example is sometimes you get into a fight with your significant other and you're thinking this like random story in your head that's totally not true. Like they don't love me, like they were ignoring me, or they did this on purpose to disrespect me, and it's totally not true. And you're like feeding this story in your head. So a book I read said to just say it out loud, like to just tell the story out loud, which is the most uncomfortable thing to do. So I would go up like this little girl, like curled up in a ball, being like, this is the story I'm telling myself in my head right now. And I would just say the story out loud so that he could be like, that is not what's happening at all. And we could get on the same level. And just a lot of people aren't willing to push through that like messy middle, like the uncomfortable, because it's so uncomfortable, like physically uncomfortable to say stuff like that. But my parents are immigrants. They're from Israel. And They worked their butts off. Like, they always praised hard work. It was super hard for me to get them, like, to be super proud of, like, a grade. It was always, like, being really proud that, like, I was sitting and doing homework, or I was going to basketball practice, or I was working really hard. It was never, like, the goal that was what they were praising me for. I think that helped me a lot. I also had a sister that's older than me who's, like, more talented than me. In, like, naturally talented in most things. She's smarter than me. She's more artistic than me. She's an amazing poet. She was better at all the sports that I wanted to be good at. So it always made me work harder. Like, I had to work harder to be as good as her, and she just was already that good. And then, yeah, I met my husband, and he is a recovering heroin addict. And when I met him, I had never been to therapy or, like, read any self-help books or anything like that. And he's been through, like, 8 years of intensive therapy. And I saw the way that he functioned and the way that he saw people and the way that he was willing to be vulnerable but still super masculine at the same time. And I wanted that, but I didn't want to have to, like, become a heroin addict to get that. So I was like, there's just no way, like, that if I did all the same things he did, I wouldn't still get the same benefits without having been to rock bottom. So I started reading all the books he told me to read, and we talk about it a lot. I listen to a ton of podcasts, and I've just accepted that there's just no reason, like, there's nothing that serves you to believe that you have to be stressed, or, you know, like, nobody's making me stressed or making me sad. Like, I am making me sad. Like, you didn't do anything to make me mad or upset or angry. I had a thought after you did something that made me sad, but I'm in control of that thought. Like, I'm in control of my own emotions, and regardless of what anyone does, like, I'm taking 100% responsibility for my own life. Like, that is my responsibility.
Have you read the 4 Agreements?
I've heard about the 4 Agreements, though. I need to read that. I'm gonna order it right now.
You literally just summed the book.
So do I not read it?
I would absolutely read it. I'm reading it again right now. But you know, the 4 Agreements are be impeccable with your word, and that's what you were talking about, getting through that messy middle and just, you know, speaking that thought out into the universe so you can get it out. You know what I mean? The second one is don't make assumptions, because those assumptions are what create those thoughts, right? Oh shit! I'm about to drop the ball on the last 2. But
now?
Yeah, I'm blanking right now.
You got
it. Yeah, you have to read the 4 Agreements. We actually just did a show on being impeccable with your word, and that's exactly what you were talking about when it comes to, you know, cultivating quality relationships and having that open line of communication with those that you care about. You know, so there it is. So being impeccable with your word, don't take things personally, don't make assumptions, and always do your best. Those are the four agreements.
Yeah, I got to read that.
Yeah, sure. And you literally just summed it all up, you know, especially with, you know, going back to your relationship with your parents, where they praised you on doing the work, not the result. And I think that's so huge. That's such a huge element of your program, whether you acknowledge it to be or not. Having people just go through the process of bettering themselves above and beyond actually succeeding at it is huge, because now you're allowing them the ability to shed that old skin, become a new person, you know, and giving them the tools that they need to become who they need to be to live the life that they want.
And there's no pressure. Like, there's no pressure to lose X amount of weight or Y amount of weight. There is no pressure. I think people get confused about what's actually making you feel good. Like, losing the weight is not what's making you feel good. Looking better in the mirror is not what's actually making you feel good. What's actually making you feel good is this integrity that you've now created with yourself of being consistent and being compliant and doing this every single day and going to the gym and showing up and trying really hard. The process is what's making you feel good. Once you start feeling shitty is when you get out of that routine and you're not being consistent, and that's when you're like, oh, I should just have pizza because, like, I'm off. And then you're like, oh, it's the pizza that made me feel bad. It's not the pizza. It's the fact that you're not maintaining that integrity with yourself. It's the process is everything.
That's crazy. That's boom. That's it right there.
Mic drop. I mean, it's so true. You know, especially when you're talking about establishing any kind of consistency. You know, falling in love with the process. You know, and understanding that the results are a byproduct of the process. You know, I've actually never termed it as creating integrity with yourself, but I absolutely love that. But you keep referencing this book I read. So I have to ask, what are the top 3 books that you've read or have had the most impact on where you are today?
I'm almost finished a book called Mindset by Carol Dweck, and every single human being on the planet needs to read this book. It talks about the difference between like a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. And it's everything that we're talking about. Like if you have a fixed mindset and you are like, everyone is you're a certain amount of smart and you're never going to get smarter. Like that's just how smart you are. And no matter, so then you now don't work hard. Or if someone's praising your grades, now you're afraid to take chances because you don't want to fail. And you're like, well, they were praising me for how well I did. Like now if I try harder, like I might not do as well, and then I'm not going to get the praise. Versus a growth mindset believes that you can get better. Nobody's saying how much better, but you can get better in every single aspect of your life. Like that it is just, and the way she writes the book is it gives a tremendous amount of examples, which I love. Like she uses Michael Jordan. She uses a bunch of really famous athletes, CEOs of businesses, and people that she studied in her research, and on both sides, like famous people that have a fixed mindset and famous people that have a growth mindset, and it's amazing. Everyone needs to read it. Another book called Daring Greatly by Brene Brown. I say it on every single podcast I'm ever on. It changed. That was just for me. It was like the right place, the right time, the right words of like, you cannot live a wholehearted life unless you're vulnerable. And if you're not vulnerable and you're not authentic and you're not just who you are, like you'll never live a wholehearted life. So that was amazing. What else did I just read? The Miracle Morning I just finished by Hal Elrod. It talks about like the first 30 minutes or first 60 minutes of your morning and how to like maximize the first 60 minutes of your morning. And there's like a bunch of like gems in there that like you can wake up earlier. Not being a morning person is not an excuse.
Complete bullshit. Yeah.
And it's not like this like huge thing you have to do. You can read. He talked, for one thing, is like you can do each thing for 10 minutes. Like literally time yourself and just do 10 minutes. So I read. Sometimes I feel like I don't have time to read, which is like such bullshit too. And I just have I have 10 minutes a day, so I read for 10 minutes a day. And if that's 3 pages, 3 pages more than I read yesterday. Like there's no pressure. There's no like I have to read for 30 minutes. Like then it's gonna be harder for me to find the time. So The Miracle Morning, Hal Elrod.
Awesome. We touched a little bit on masterminds and seminars a little bit earlier, but is there a certain number of seminars and mastermind that you hold yourself to every single year to keep you on track in meeting new people and evolving?
Yeah, I mean, it's only been like 2.5 years, so I don't know like about every single year, but I had only the Barbell Mastermind for a while. Now I go to less Barbell Mastermind meetings. I'll probably do 2 this year, and then I'm part of another group called the Genius Network, or some people know it as the 25K Club, and I love that group. And I also did a conference last year called Inbound. It's like a marketing conference with a bunch of really good speakers like Angela Duckworth and Serena Williams. Mm-hmm. There was like a bunch of really cool people there, but I like went like overload. Like I took Mike Bledsoe's words to the extreme, and I went like face deep, like just dove right into the deep end of like personal development and like doing meditation retreats and everything, like as much as I could get my hands on. And now I'm going to take like a little bit of a step back and be a little bit more selective. But I will at least be a part of one mastermind every single year. I love them. I think it gives you like an opportunity to just forget about everything else and like only focus on the things you need to work on. And I will probably go to one of those bigger conferences like Inbound every year, just because you get like the new things that are coming up. Like you hear about what's coming up in business, or like what are the new trends, or just get a bunch of ideas, and you get to hear speakers that you wouldn't often get to hear in person, like Gary Vee or the owners of HubSpot and that kind of thing.
Nice.
Do you feel that it serves you well to get out there, via seminar or just in your own personal, professional day-to-day, and surround yourself with people outside your industry?
Yeah. I mean, they always have like a unique perspective, and they're definitely not competitive with me at all. So I think that's something, like, they're not going to try and hold anything back. And they're not in the space, so they can give like a different way of thinking that maybe they don't have the right answer for you, but they can maybe change the way you think about something a little bit. And I just appreciate anybody who's out there grinding, trying to be successful, and doing things that other people are too afraid to do. So if you're doing that, you could probably teach me something. So.
Yeah, the emphasis that you have on self-education and self-improvement and what that's done for you in your relationship with your husband, obviously what it's done for your organization. I think that's part of the deal that gets lost, especially here in America. We're so taught to go through 12 years of school, maybe some undergrad, and if you're a real hard charger, you go get that master's degree, right? And then after that, like, learning stops. Like, we're not taught to go out there and seek self-improvement. We're not taught to go out and educate ourselves about other things above and beyond our job, and I think that that's something that's special for people that operate in this space, where we're extremely limited in our capacity to improve if we only rely on what we do and educating ourselves in that space.
Yeah, the quote that comes to mind is, someone told me once, or I listened on a podcast, your success will never exceed your personal growth. And one of the first things Mike Bledsoe ever told me was that if you're spending all your money in your regular life, you're going to be spending all your money in your business. And if you have a bad relationship with your husband in your regular life, it's going to leak into your business. Like, your personal growth is the lead domino to the rest of your life. And I think it's a huge problem that it's seen as a sign of weakness. Like, working on, like, meditating, people laugh at me. Like, people are like, go and do your meditation. I'm like, how is that like a funny thing? Like, I'm spending 10 minutes to like quiet my mind and like become more aware of my feelings. And it's just seen as like, if you have to do that, like if you need therapy, you're weak. But I think if you need therapy, you probably could have used it like a while ago, and then you would never have needed it. Mm-hmm. Like, everyone has shit they're working on. It just manifests itself in different ways. For some people, it gets manifested as addiction, and for some people, it gets manifested as overeating and over-exercising or not exercising or whatever it is. But there is like no limits to, and why not want to maximize your personal growth? Like, why not want to be the best human being you could ever be?
Darn truth. That's honest truth. Where do you see yourself, like your big goals for this year? Is personally, well, it's sort of a twofold question. Personally, where do you see yourself taking yourself by the end of this year, and then your company by the end of the year? And you don't have to give numbers for the company, just like what type of impact do you want to make in that area?
By the end of this year?
Yes.
So 2017. So that's quick. By the end of this year, personally, I would like to be living in America with my husband in Austin and like feel very settled. Right now, I feel very in between countries, and I don't like that. I would like to have our house, maybe have my goal by the end of this year personally is to have one significant relationship in Austin, because we're new to the city, and I'm desperate for that person, like that dude that you hang out with all the time, or like that person you call to like get your nails done, or so I don't have that person right now. So I'm like, if you're out there in Austin and want to be my friend.
We know some good people in Austin. We might be able to put you in touch with some awesome people down there.
Yeah, both of us, my husband and I, we want a goal by the end of the year to have like one very significant relationship. And in the business, we just launched a software called Seismic, which is it encompasses the entire program. So it makes the service a lot more personalized, a lot more secure. The quality of the coaching will be a lot better. We can track people's progress and information better. By the end of this year, I would like to have 2 pilot gyms where we offer them that software to use with their clients. So like CrossFit, PHX, we could give you guys the software, and then you would have one of your staff coach your members using our software and system and methodologies, and we would support the affiliate versus supporting the client directly. We'd still have WAG for sure with our coaches,
right?
But I would like, the software is so amazing, so it would be silly to not utilize the opportunity to get that in CrossFit gyms or any kind of gym.
Nice. So it's more of like a B2B play.
Yeah,
I like that.
Sure.
That's very good.
Way to go. Yeah, we'll do it.
Yeah.
Sign us up.
Yeah, we definitely want 2 pilot gyms, and we do have also like a completely automated macro coach in the works as well. But I'm not sure what we will do with that, like whether it'll be free or it'll be like a Netflix kind of thing. But it's like, it's kind of, we have the best tech team in the world, but it's kind of like the macrobot has its own personality, and like you could choose its personality, and it will like, it can acknowledge if you haven't hit your protein, and it will like send you information on how to hit your protein better. It's like, technology's crazy.
Yeah,
that's
like,
insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're definitely reaching towards that artificial intelligence element right there. But that's awesome. You know, I think we're in such a, you can't get away from doing the work, but you know, if you can, you know, play to that microwave mentality and give people the ability in real time, you know, how to adjust on the fly, I think that's huge.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, you definitely got something there.
I think that's for like the dudes who don't want a coach, you know, like they don't want the coach, just give me my numbers, like I don't need to talk about my feelings.
Dudes are tough.
I feel like she's looking at me.
Yeah.
Right now.
The ego kicks in for guys, man.
Right?
Real quick.
Yeah, I don't need a coach.
Right?
We're good to go.
Go pick up that barbell, and we'll see how much you need a coach.
Right.
And we'll talk about nutrition afterwards. Yeah.
Oh man.
No, that's so awesome. I'm proud to know you. I'm proud of all the stuff that you've accomplished in the short time that we've known each other. But what I think is really awesome and a testament to who you are as a person is your follow through. Because I was there when you said you were going to do a lot of these things, and here we are almost 2 years later, and you've done it, if not more. You know, so just speaking to the efficacy of who you surround yourself with via Mastermind and in your personal life, your inner circle, if you will, how big a player is that in your ability to succeed up to this point and beyond?
Oh, everything. Who you surround yourself with is without a doubt going to infect your life. Like, if you have people around you that are not trying to be better or willing to be vulnerable or like if you don't have people around you that are the kind of people you want to be, then you're going to be just like the people around you. So if those people are complacent or content or not trying, which is totally cool. That's totally cool too. My husband's from a small town in New Roads. It's 5,000 people, and they're just like totally chilling. They're super happy. They're like in their house. They have their job. They do the same things every day, and they love it. Like they literally love it, and I think that's super awesome. But if you want to be something amazing or achieve excellence, if you're not around people that also are doing that in their own ways, then you're only going to be as good as the 5 average people you spend time with. And that's so true. And don't be afraid to be around people that are way better than you, like smarter than you, better than you, more talented than you. And if you're you want to be around people and have the mindset, like, you don't want to like try and bring them down, but you want to like elaborate on their sentences. Like, I make a very conscious effort when I'm introducing one of my friends to be like, this is Michael Cazayoux, like, he owns this company's killing it for this reason, he has a podcast that has 1 million downloads already, like, and they've only had 75 episodes, and I'll just go on for days. Like, people that you want to brag about, you got to be around awesome people all the time. Life is too short to not be around awesome people.
Mm-hmm. Love it. Love it. Love it. So before we let you go, I got to ask you 2 questions. Mm-hmm. And you can answer them on any level. We touched on it a little bit, but I want you to dive one why deeper for us. What's one thing that you do each and every day to feed yourself and get the motivation going? And then what's something that you do each and every day to fuel yourself and have that motivation carry over into the next day?
I meditate every single day, and that centers me and keeps my reminds me of like that I am human and it's okay to feel the things I feel. So that gives me motivation for the day. And that keeps me motivated for the next day. That's a good question. I will, my husband and I have this routine where every single day we have this daily praise for each other, where we have to give each other a daily praise. So, and it's crazy how many things you can come up with. So that always gets me like pumped up for the next day. Like, I want to work on that still, or like I want to be even better at that. And so we have like I guess a ritual of giving each other one daily praise for the day.
Nice. And that's awesome. And where can everybody in this community that's listening go to support everything you have going in your company, personally? Whether it's social media, websites, where can they go follow you and just be a part of your journey?
You can find me on Instagram. We are at Working Against Gravity, and my personal Instagram is Adee, Adee, Cazayoux, Cazayoux. And our website is www.workingagainstgravity.com. We have a Facebook page. It's Working Against Gravity, and that's pretty much it.
Nice.
Awesome. How is your waiting list right now for the program pretty extensive, or is it are you pretty open for new members?
So we put up our waiting list 3 days ago, mm-hmm. and we had 55 this morning, but we take people off like as soon as we have space. So the wait right now shouldn't be longer than 2 weeks, but I mean, don't quote me on that. We get in trouble.
All good. No, we just I just wanted to make sure that the people understand that when they're ready to commit, that you guys will be ready to commit to them. So that's awesome. I can't say it enough. We're super pumped for everything that you're bringing to the table and everything that you have going on. And we think that 2017 is going to be so huge for you. Did we lose you?
Oh wait, no, I think we got each other back.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I was just saying that we're super proud of everything that you've accomplished, and being on the outside looking in and watching the evolution of Working Against Gravity has been exciting to watch. And to know that you're impacting the lives of those that we're in direct contact with on a daily basis makes it that much more special. So, from the bottom of our heart, thank you for allowing us to be a part of your journey and taking the time out of your day to enlighten our listeners on this podcast.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having an awesome place where people can do that. You guys play a role in that too. They wouldn't succeed on our program if you weren't awesome people either.
Right on. So, hey, for everybody out there listening right now, make sure you get out there and support everything that Adee and Working Against Gravity are out to take over the world in the nutrition space. They're making big things happen, and hopefully we can make that WAG and PHX connection down the road. I'm excited to see how that develops. So get out there and support everything that they have going on. And as always, we're super humbly excited to have you as a part of our journey, as you know, we enjoy being a part of yours. So until next time, guys, feed me, fuel me.
And that'll do it for this week's episode with our special guest, Adee Cazayoux. If you want to check out everything Adee has going and her company working against gravity, be sure to look at the full show notes on feedmefuelme.com. Also, be sure to connect with us on social media, including Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, and Twitter at feedmefuelme. We would love to hear from each and every one of you. We're excited to announce the Feed Me Fuel Me Summit on June 10th, 2017 in Sedona, Arizona. Our keynote speaker will be Forrest Lustos. If you haven't had a chance to hear Forrest's story yet, be sure to listen to his episode number 19, Mastering the Superficial and Becoming Exceptional. It's guaranteed to fire you up and make you take action. We've released event details on the website, and the event is only a few weeks away. Be sure to go to feedmefuelme.com, click on the link 2017 Summit, purchase your ticket, and we'll see you in Sedona. If you found this episode inspiring in any way, please rate, comment, share, and subscribe so we can continue on this journey together. Also, be sure to share it with your friends and family on social media, including Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, and Twitter, or any other social platforms that you use. We really appreciate you spending your time with us today and allowing us to join you on your journey. We would love to hear your feedback on this episode, as well as guests and topics for future episodes. To end this episode, we would love to leave you with a quote by an unknown author. Embrace and love your body. It is the most amazing thing you will ever own. Thank you again for joining us, and we will catch you on the next episode.